My mother Wanda, she was born in a small town in Poland called Hutka Piniska, which is now in Ukraine in the year 1927. She was 13 when the Red Army invaded Poland and all the people from Huta Piniska were displaced and they were packed in a wagon train with my great grandfather, grandmother, and Vanda's brothers and sisters to Siberia. My mother, when she was in Huta Peniska, before being deported to Siberia, she was 13 years old. She was like any normal child, going to school, then enjoying her plays outside. Her father, he used to do farming and plus he used to work in a machine shop. And my grandmother, she was a homemaker. My mother is the third of the five children. She had two elder brothers and one younger brother and younger sister. Her eldest brother also used to help their father in the field and plus the regular schooling. My mother told me some things, very few things about Siberia, like the journey from Poland to Siberia took around 8 to 10 days, and they were packed in a wagon train, maybe around 7 families in one wagon. There was no food, no water, no sanitation, and many people died on the way to Siberia. In fact, one of the incident which I recall my mother telling me is it was really cold, snowing, and there was no water in the wagon train. And there used to be, one or two ventilation in the wagon train. So they used to literally put their hands out, take out the snow which was there on the ventilator of the window, bring it in, warm it up with something and have that water. The conditions were very bad. Then since she was small, she was around 13 years, whatever she told me, that they were there with her parents and with her grandfather. Grandfather being quite old at that time, he couldn't take the conditions, the cold conditions of Siberia. He died in Siberia, and the elders, not the children, the one of the age above 16, they were put to hard labor. I believe they used to tell them to cut trees. The more the trees a person cut, the more the food he used to get. If it was somebody thin and frail and he couldn't work, he was not given any food. And many people died in Siberia. I think they were there for around 8 to 10 months. They were brought back from Siberia to Tehran, where I think for a few, 1 or 1.5 years, they stayed over there in camps. And in Tehran, my mother was separated with her parents and they were put in an orphanage. Since that time, my mother and her younger sister were not in touch with her parents because they didn't know where they were. From Tehran, they were brought to Karachi in Pakistan. That's my mother and her younger sister. From Pakistan, these women and children, Polish women and children, were brought by a ship called Batore, which came to Mumbai. From Mumbai, some went to Jamnagar. From Jamnagar, they came to a place at Waliwadi. It's a village near Kolhapur. A camp was set up in Waliwadi for these women and children, 5,000 women and children. My mother was one of them. I believe she was around the age of 16, somewhere around in 1943, 44, when they came to Waliwadi in Kolhapur. Most of the children, they have schools in the camp. They used to have some training institute. My mother was not interested in schooling. She, along with 7 other girls, was sent to Bombay Hospital for nurse training. They were there in Bombay Hospital for around 8 months. These 7 girls wanted to join the army medical unit of the army, but the commandant of the camp didn't allow them to join. So they were brought to Waliwadi, where they worked in a hospital for around 2 years. My father, that time, was around 18 years of age, and he was studying medicine in a college in Sangli, which is around 50 kilometers from Waliwadi. These medical students, around 15 or 20 of them, used to come to the camp for training because there were a lot of children, women and children, and they needed the medical help. So every Sunday, these 15 to 20 medical students used to come to the camp. This went on maybe for around a year and a half. During that time, I believe my father must have seen my mother and must have fallen for her. During one of these visits to the hospital in Waliwadi, my father called her at the side and said that I want to talk to you. Can we meet anywhere outside? I believe first time she didn't say anything, but then she agreed to meet my father. The children and women and children of the camp were allowed to go out of the camp on Sundays. The rest of the days they were not allowed to step out of the camp. My father asked my mother to meet her at one of the photo studios. Now, why a photo studio? My father used to say that all these Polish women and children were really crazy to take their photographs. So the local photo studio was quite in demand, and most of them used to come over there. Fortunately for my father, the owner of the photo studio was his friend. So I believe it was an ideal place for two people to meet over there. So one Sunday, my mother, along with her friend Vaja, cycled from Waliwadi to Kolhapur came to the studio, and as usual, after taking their photographs, my father was waiting over there to meet her. There, he told her that I love you and I want to be with you forever. I don't know what my mother's reaction was, whether she said yes immediately or she said, okay, I'll think, or she just brushed it off. I don't know. But he continued with her, talking to her, and they decided to get married. During the British time, 45, 46, it was not easy for a foreigner, a Polish woman to marry an Indian man. When my father told the commandant that he is getting married to my mother, there was a lot of opposition. The commandant threatened him, said, if you marry her, I will see that you lose your job, I'll make your life hell, you'll not be able to live. So it is in your interest not to get involved with the Polish woman and leave her alone. My mother, she was also adamant that she wanted to marry Vasant. She didn't care what will happen to her. How will she live over here in India without her family members? I think she didn't think anything of this. In 1946, my father, along with around 20 of his friends, went to the camp and rightfully took his would-be bride away from the camp. From there, they straight away went to a temple, a small temple in Kolhapur, where these 20 friends, close friends, were with him, and they got married in 1946 as per the Hindu rites. My grandparents were not aware of it, because if they knew, then I don't think they would have permitted him to get married to a Polish woman. My grandparents come from a Brahmin caste, which is one of the very highest caste in India. They are pure vegetarian, very religious, and at that time India were trying to out the British, and here Indian man is getting married to a foreign lady, a white lady, which was very difficult for my grandparents to digest. As I said, they were pure vegetarian. Here is a white lady, a meat eating non-vegetarian woman. How are they going to accept her? They were very disturbed. They did not accept the marriage. They did not accept the daughter-in-law. This went on for around a year. The collector of Kolhapur had warned my father not to get involved, not to get married to a Polish girl. He warned him that if you do, I'll make your life miserable, and I will see that you don't have a job also. This turned out true. After marriage, the collector saw that my father lost the job. It was very difficult for my parents with no support from the grandparents, no job, no home, no house, nothing. My father started doing odd jobs. One of the jobs which he did, he worked as a plumber. Then he worked as a projector man in a cinema theater and other odd jobs. After getting married, the problem was where to take her, because my grandparents were orthodox, conservative. They wouldn't allow a foreign woman at their home. My father's friend had a small hostel in Kolhapur. He was kind enough to give them a room to stay, and they stayed there for a few months. When they were staying in hostel room, my mother used to say that my father used to not be with her for days together because he was involved with his colleagues and friends with the freedom movement which was going on at that time in India. My eldest brother was born in August 1947, just a few days before India's independence. His name is Ramesh. He's staying in Pune with his family and his 5 children. There were some incidents which my mother told me. When my father got married, my parents got married, she didn't know English, Hindi, Marathi, and my father didn't know Polish. So I don't know how they communicated with each other, but somehow they managed. Within a year's time of marriage, they had their first child, Ramesh. Poor thing, mother used to talk to him in Polish, and father and grandfather used to talk to him in Marathi. He didn't talk maybe for the first 3 or 4 years because he didn't know what language to talk, because mother was talking in Polish, father was talking in Marathi. So they were worried that even he's 3 to 4 years and still he's not talking. In the end, Marathi won over Polish and he started speaking Marathi. He went to a Marathi school, did his education in Marathi, and poor thing, my mother had to learn Marathi. Well, she picked up Marathi quite fast. Within a few years, she used to communicate with everybody in Marathi. She learnt to cook Maharashtrian food, especially things like Puran Poli, which is a Maharashtrian dish. We were there in Kolhapur till about 1958. Then by 1955, my parents had 5 children, all male children. I am the youngest of the 5. We came to a place called Aurangabad in 1959-1960. It was a happy family, all of us schooling. For us, for me, it was something, it was not unusual because she was a mother for me, not a foreign lady or a white lady or a Pole. So ours was like a normal family, like what everybody has. She used to cook at home Father used to work for a transport company. But since he had to take care of us, of all the 5 children, he really used to work hard. And I believe he must have been an intelligent man also, because he started as a clerk in 1958 for a transport company in the state of Nizam. And by the time he retired at the age of 58, he was the general manager of that company, which is unheard of, like a lowly clerk becoming a general manager. When India got independence, the World War got over, 45, 46. Slowly, the women and children from Validewari camp started going back. Some went back to Poland, some to England, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa. My mother's younger sister, Anna, she decided to go back to Poland. She settled in Poland, got married over there, had a family. My mother's eldest brother, from after the war, since he was in the Polish army, after the war, he decided to settle in UK. The second brother, he was in the Polish underground army, so most of the time he was in Italy. He got married to an Italian girl, came to Poland and settled over there. The eldest brother, who was settled in England, married a Pole, and they settled in England. My mother was, she went to her brother's place in England in 1968. So that was the first time after she came as a refugee that she went out of this country. She met her brother, their family. She was extremely happy to be with them, to meet them after many, many years. Then 2 years after my mother met her elder brother, he expired. So there was no reason or opportunity for her to go back over there. In 1987, my mother, for the first time, went to Poland, to her sister's place, and to meet one of the brothers who was still alive at that time. My mother's elder sister, she got married to a Pole, and they were settled in Poland. They had 2 children. Both the children, after a few years, settled in France. And so my mother's elder sister's daughter, that's my first cousin, her name is Celine. She and her mother were in regular touch with my mother all these years from 1960s, 70s onwards. Then frequent visit started taking place. My mother, every 2 years, 3 years, she used to go to Poland. She used to go to France, to my cousin's place. They started coming to India every few years. That's how the relation built up. As a child, I remember me going with my parents to my grandparents' home in the summer vacation. Uh, I think it was maybe every summer vacation we used to go to my grandparents' place. My mother was always with us. My mother had a good relationship with my grandmother. My mother used to help my grandmother in her cooking, cleaning, and she used to talk fluently in Marathi with my grandparents. During the summer vacation, uh, I used to sleep at the side of my grandmother, and she used to tell me, you can call it bedtime stories, about the great Indian mythology. I think she must be telling me those stories because my mother didn't know, being a Pole, what the Indian mythology is, and that's what I learned from my grandmother. My uncle, as I said, he was also a lawyer. His name is Gajanand, and sometimes we used to go to their place in a hill station called Lonavala because that's where he was the police superintendent. We enjoyed our holidays at the hill station with my uncle's family. Then also my aunt, that's my father's elder sister, she got married to a royal family in Sangli. So some of our holidays were spent with my aunt in Sangli. There was a lovely big palace and we used to enjoy our days staying in the palace. Coming back to my mother's side, my mother started going to Poland from 1986 onwards. She must have made around 8 or 10 trips. The last was in 2005 when we went to England and Poland and met her sister for the last time. Later on, we got in touch with our cousins from Poland and some who have settled in France. Over the years, the relationship started building more and more. They started coming every 2 years, 3 years. We started going over there every 2, 3 years, and we bonded very well. Then during the mid-90s, the survivors from the camp of 1943-48, they came to visit Waliwadi, Kolhapur. My mother was very happy that she could meet her friends, colleagues after such a long time. And that was the start of building the relationship further. So in the mid 90s and the early 2000s, there was more involvement of the Polish government, of the Polish people. They built a monument in the cemetery with those 60, 70 odd people who are resting in peace over there. And that's how the relationship has started building. Then we were very much in touch, involved with the Polish consulate in Mumbai. They used to invite us for all the programs which were held by them. on those occasions, we got an opportunity to meet more Poles, more people, and that's how the relationship has grown this far.
65 years when I married, and 65 years I am alone in India. Our old friend gone to Poland. My sister with me, and I married and sister going to Poland. There, my mother in Poland. I am staying alone. Then after, when my come children, after my 17 years, I am old. This time I married, and 30 years, then I getting 5 children. Family is so like me, my father-in-law. He never tell that I am daughter-in-law, only daughter.
My mother was courageous and very independent lady. Imagine a 17-year-old girl from a foreign country deciding to get married to an Indian man, sacrificing her comfort, her family to stay back in India. I think it's very courageous. My parents were married, happily married for 65 years, and at the age of 84, my father expired in 2010, wherein they had completed 65 years of marriage. Very commendable, very long time. After the death of my father, my mother, being the independent woman she was, she decided to stay on her own terms and at her own home where both my parents were staying. Even though 3 of my brothers are in Kolhapur, she decided not to stay with them but stay independently. After the death of my father, I think it was very difficult for my mother to stay alone because she used to keep on thinking about him, that he's there, he still comes and sees me, he visits me. She never thought that he's dead and gone. She always used to think that he's still with her. She stayed on a road after my father's death for approximately 4 years. Then at the age of 88, my mother also expired. My mother, after marriage, converted to Hindu, but still she kept faith in her religion also. Every Christmas there used to be a Christmas tree, lighted, decorated as usual. There was fun on Christmas, So we were lucky that we could enjoy Diwali as per the Hindu custom and Christmas as per the Christians. My mother always had a wish that she should be buried as per the Christian way. So when she died, she was a Hindu as per the records, and her wish was to be buried in the same cemetery where her friends and colleagues were buried in Kolhapur. Fortunately, we were able to do that. She is buried in the same cemetery, and within 6 months of her death, the Polish government sent a team of Polish people to make the graves, which were in a very bad conditions of the mid 40s, into new graves. All of them are of the same type. Fortunately, they were able to build one more grave for my mother, who died at the age of 88, and today she is resting in peace with all her other Polish brothers, sisters who are in that cemetery. Me being the youngest among the 5 brothers, I stayed with my parents right till the time they went to Kolhapur. In fact, I must be around maybe 38 or 40 years of age. Till then, I was staying with my parents. My mother was fluent in Marathi, so of course, whatever maybe the quarrels or the fights that used to take place were also in Marathi. Since my parents had 15 grandchildren, every vacation, a few of them were at our place for the summer vacation. There's a very good relationship between my mother and the grandchildren, because they used to love to come to our place. A lot of good food, enjoyment used to take place. As I said, that we were 5 brothers, 15 grandchildren, and maybe a dozen great grandchildren today. So it's quite a big family, and it was sort of a joint family, because I, with my family, also stayed with them for quite some time. My mother, as I said, they were married for 65 years. Right from 1946, she's been living with the Indian family, cooking Indian food, Indian culture, wearing the Indian traditional sari, having a bindi on the forehead, wearing a Mangal Sutra, which is a sign of being married as per the Hindu culture. So she was so Indianized that the food that she used to cook were totally Indian. I don't remember she cooking any Polish dish, not pierogi, not even a zupa, nothing of such. Even the grandchildren were brought up in the same way, and she was totally Indianized. because she got married at a very early age of 16, 17 and started living with the Indian family. So we came to know about the Polish food, the Polish delicacies, only when she started visiting Poland, and we visited there thereafter. My grandparents had a good education background. Grandfather was a well-known criminal lawyer. My uncle was also a lawyer. My father was studying medicine in Sangli Medical College. That is the time he met my mother Wanda. After getting married, since he had to support her, he had to give up his medical studies midway. I think the reason is, if he had continued with his medical studies, he couldn't have got married to Wanda, and by the time the war got over, and she would have left back for a country. In order that she should remain with her in India, he gave up his medical studies in Sangli, opted to do odd jobs to be with her lady love, and that's how he kept her for the next 65 years.